Andy, my man, there you are.
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo, Andy.
How are you, man? Oh, have I just closed it again? Oh,
No,
fucking
no,
no
man,
good
I
at
can hear
this.
you.
Here we go. I'm on. I'm here. How are you, bro?
Yes.
Cool. So, we'll
Yeah, mate.
record this one then. Tell me when
So
we're on.
there's a few people already that are jumping in as well too. So for everyone watching, I've got Burnsy down there, and we do a podcast called the Offroad On Air podcast. And our Zoom whole thing has been a little bit messed up, so we're just jumping on live. We're going to be talking about wild dog and just general four-wheel drives as well too. So throw it in your questions as well too. Andy, mad weekend, wasn't it?
It was a ripper, mate. Thank you very much for coming along. I'm sure you thoroughly
Thank you
enjoyed
very much for the
yourself.
invite. Yes,
Yep.
had an
Um,
absolute blast.
it was, yeah. Wild Dog is definitely my favourite event in the short course
Yep.
style of things. And as for my style of what I like to do, I would say I prefer short course over long course. Long course is a lot, as the name obviously puts out, long course is a lot longer. It takes a lot more toll on the car and a lot more toll on your body.
Yep.
Whereas short course is, as it states in the name, she's short, she's sweet. It's a quick adrenaline hit and it's done and dusted in a weekend.
Yeah, and the adrenaline that can come down to, like in a few of them with you and Rue, down to a few seconds,
Oh, mate, yeah.
literally.
Yep, down to seconds. And
Yep.
I don't know if you were keeping up with the scores like we were. Towards the end of it, I think there was 11 points in it. And
And
so
that was
if you,
between fourth and third, wasn't it?
yeah, well,
Or
that was second, third, and fourth. So
oh,
between the,
that's only a few stages. That's real tight. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, well, it's like I said, split seconds. It's the difference between finishing a second in front of another car two, three times. Yeah. So no, she was a ripper. Thank you very much for coming
That's
along. You
I
cooked up a
appreciate that.
storm all weekend, so the boys loved
That was
it,
good.
and they said that
Yep.
they'll be happy to have you back again.
Oh, and if Wild Dog don't want me as a media output and representative, then I'll happily, absolutely jump on the team as well. Even if I am getting to get the media as well too, I'll still be camping with you. Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think that's some of the stuff that I managed to get. A lot of the other media people just didn't even bother. They were just getting the up and close action stuff. But I was getting in the camp, getting the repairs filmed as well too, and just the little bits that
Yeah, that's it.
not everyone gets to see.
There's a lot behind the scenes, and like you said, everyone gets the footage of the cars taken off and on full throttle and flicking mud and taking the sweet corners with mud spraying everywhere. But
Yep.
there's the things behind the scenes, just as simply as respawning the winch rope.
Yeah.
You know, you watch every car does its stage. They're all going to the same tree. They're all, resetting that winch rope, and the navvies and the drivers from what you'd think are competing teams give each other pointers on, hey, watch out. There's an off-camber section on that one. Make sure you stick to the rod, or you can
Yep.
drive that hill. You don't have to winch it. That's the sort of stuff that I think needs to be seen, needs to be documented, needs to be shown.
Yeah.
And yeah, sponsors will
Healthy
come flocking.
camaraderie as well too. Yeah, healthy
Definitely.
camaraderie and healthy sportsmanship as well too.
Yeah, as
Yep.
much as we're all competing against each other, like we would much rather beat someone by beating them in time than beat them because their
Yep.
car's broken and they can't finish.
Yep.
So we'll give everyone the parts that they need to get back out there and get racing,
Yep.
so we can beat them properly. Yeah,
Yeah. It was amazing to see some of the tales. I mean, I didn't see them firsthand by going around to every camp, but every single camp had it was like a shopping list. It's like, do you have this? Do you have this? No, go on to the next camp, and yeah, that was
Yep,
incredible.
exactly. Yep, there's
Yep,
certain blokes will carry
yep,
certain things. Some blokes that run shops, they run second-hand parts stores, or they run like there's Iron Man for one, Road Runners another one. These
yep,
people they carry brand new gear to the event. So if you break something, you just walk over to them and they hand it to you.
yeah.
And we'll sort it out next week.
It's just like, yeah, we'll sort it out in the end as well too, and it's just the sportsmanship
Even
throughout all the teams.
you wouldn't have seen, but did you hear about this diff being cut and reshaped
Men's
and welded
the
back together?
reshape,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
because they were trying the technique of cutting it and then re-welding it, so when the weld cools, it bends it back. I
Yep.
didn't see it, but they were explaining it a few different times of how they were doing that. And it was just all as a team as well too.
It was amazing.
Just
So this
gathering all the things.
is
Yeah,
Yep, this is the competitors that are racing against each other. If this was about
yep,
supercars, you'd be laughing, rubbing your hands together. Beautiful. They're out. We don't have to
yep,
worry about them
yep,
tomorrow. But instead, these boys were up till 1 o'clock in the morning fixing a fellow competitor's car so they could race against
yep.
them the next day.
Just yeah, warms your heart.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
What you see most of is the limiter bash and flicking mud, all the cool shit. You don't get to
yep.
see the behind the scenes stuff, which you
No,
got a gold ticket to, mate, and I
first
bet you
hand
was
witness for it.
an eye opener, eh?
Yeah, it was just incredible, a sight to see. That's as simple as that. It was just one of those things. I'm like, they're not only like they're going well above and beyond. It's not. It's like it's not only their own car. It's that they're trying to get them across the finish line themselves as well
Yep.
too.
And
It's just
then,
great.
well,
Yeah.
with that same sportsmanship in a long course event, if your car breaks down and you get what's called outside assistance, so if someone that's not racing, so maybe a spectator or a marshal or something like that, if they help you, it's a 100-point penalty because it's called outside assistance. But you could flag down
Right.
another competitor. That competitor can tow you to the finish line, and there's no foul. You don't get
I like
penalised.
that.
So
I like that.
this is why it pays for when someone says, "Hey man, I need something," like, "Oh no, we've broken an alternator. Have you got a spare alternator?" You go, "Well, yeah, here I've got one, but if I need it, you have to give it
I
back
want
to
it
me."
back.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I don't need it right now. It's in my toolbox. I'm just carrying it. So here it is. And then you might find yourself, I don't know, give me another example of you've shut a rear diff and you're still 3Ks from the finish line. That bloke that you gave the alternator to, he comes trugging along and you wave him down and say, "Hey man, car's cooked. Hook us up, tow us to the
Yep.
finish line." You think he's going to say
Yep.
no?
Yeah.
It's just,
No.
and it creates, you've got to be a stand-up bloke to succeed. Because if you're a
Yeah.
knobhead and your head is up your ass and you think you're better than everyone else, you'll find yourself in a shit situation and no one will help you. And it's as simple as
Karma's a bitch.
we had a car fire, and another competitor, they stopped, and they're straight away they're going, "Are you boys
Yep.
all right?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're good." And we said to them, "Keep going, keep going." As they took off, they threw all their fire extinguishers out the window, and gave them to us. So we'd
Yeah.
already
Right.
we'd already put the fire out, and we were good.
Yep.
They'd stopped to check, and just in the haste of getting going again, because in the rules you've got to have fire extinguishers within reach at your feet and stuff like that.
Yep.
We said, "No, we're good. Go, you boys, keep going. Get to the finish line." They open the window and boom, 2 fire extinguishers come out, and we're just like, "Oh, fuck, sweet." We didn't need them.
Yep.
They didn't need to give them to us, but it's that kind of
No.
sportsmanship that you look for, yeah.
Literally, I got you back kind of
Yeah, exactly.
sentiment
Yep.
as well.
That's
Yeah.
the same. Could be brake
Brilliant.
fluid, transmission fluid, spare tyre, plugs for tyres, you name it.
Yep.
And this is where the weekend camping stuff, where what I consider a normal weekend away, is fairly extreme for other people. because we like to push the limits, see what you can get away with.
I love it. And it's just that camaraderie as well, too. Just comes out in all four-wheel driving communities, on and off the track. I like it.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
The
So it's yeah, you go.
I was going to say the people that marshal at the events, again, like they go above and beyond. Especially if you go do weekend driving or we call touring, I guess, touring camping. Like they love it. They treat their daily drivers like their race cars. They come out and go. They're not afraid to, like, yeah, some people consider Billy Goats a pretty rough sort of track. So you go, we're going to go up Billy Goats, and they just straight away, yep, let's go. We want to come. We want to be a part of it. We want to see, how quickly we can get from the bottom to the top.
Yep. And they set those little challenges for them and do that as a group, and then they're off.
That's it, and leave no man behind.
Yep.
You may, you get yourself in a spot of bother. And the biggest thing is flooding cars in river crossings. That's the best one. And then you've got a dead car you've got to drag out of Timbuktu.
Skull drag out of the water, firstly. And under pressure as well, too, because the longer you leave it in there, the more that it's going to be absolutely dead weight to tow as well.
Yep. If you can, you get it going again.
Yep. Otherwise, it's a trailer that you're going to be dragging on.
Yeah.
And that happened over heaps over Queen's birthday weekend as well, too. There was so many water recoveries. I
saw a lot of very sketchy river crossings that I just... Yeah. I mean, there was one where they already had a snatch strap hooked to the car that tried to drive through. But the secondary car didn't go in to the water with him. So old mate was nearly out the other side, and the snatch straps pulled tight, and then his mate started backing up. Whereas I think he would have driven it, and he would have driven out the other side. But because they were already hooked up and there was a bit of hesitation. But then as I was watching this, there's a guy standing on the corner of the bank that was just asking to get cleaned up by that snatch strap. If that car had have floated downstream, that snatchy would have cleaned him up a pisser.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, no, there was a few sketchy ones. There was a few good ones that I saw, like doing it properly as well too. I think literally, Sherry and Kessler's latest video on YouTube literally shows them doing tandem crossings. The car's just absolutely going under, but they're safely hooked up to each other in tandem. As one goes across, then they've just got that safety barrier each time.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
They're just doing it right, and it was the start to finish. They showed the whole thing, just nice, safe, and I think they got about 4 or 5 cars across, and every one was just hooked up to another, just in case, because there was a massive amount of flow, and they were basically driving upstream for a short amount of time as well too. So
you probably find that they'd have their winch hooked up with the winch on free spool, or were they using snatch straps?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
no, they were on winch on free spool.
Yeah, so then if you have to, you lock the winch in and start winching. And then it would have opened your eyes as to see how fast these winches are.
Yeah, those 24-volt things that are just straight. Yeah.
It's not the sort of thing you can do with a low mount. It's not gonna have the line speed to pull it in quick enough.
No,
so again,
not at all.
You're playing a different game.
Yeah. So what on follow up of the car? What was the final toll on the Red Bear Beast itself?
So we swapped out a rear locker Friday night.
Yep.
We feel it was probably already damaged before we started Friday.
On its way out.
Yeah, it wasn't engaging properly and was making some fucked up noises. And then when it was out, like locker off, it was still binding up, and you could tell when you were turning sharp, the wheels were skipping. So yeah, just that come out Friday night. I think you had to take off home before that. The boys were up
I
till
did.
1 o'clock in the morning doing a diff swap, and it was good to go. Apart from that, the passenger door, that was it. That was the only damage all weekend.
Yep. Oh,
And
there was the steering. What was
power steering.
the steering on that long run?
Oh yeah, and
No,
we
the steering.
snapped the steering knuckle. Yep.
Yeah, that was on. What was that on the Saturday afternoon?
Yep. What you call a pitman arm, yeah.
Yep. It's just bad luck that you reckon you didn't have one with you in the car.
Normally would,
Yep.
because the spare wheel that Rooster put on wasn't the normal one that we'd have. There's normally room for a toolbox, but because the spare wheel laid flat down in the back of the ute, it took up the room for the box. So we decided we'd just go with a little bag with standard spares in it, and a pitman arm is normally something you'd carry.
Yep.
Yeah. So still second with 2 DNFs it's fucking almost unheard of.
I thought in the whole process, 2 DNFs would take you out of the podium, but no, that's incredible.
Well, only because as you go down the line, the other boys had a DNF each, and then also had their little niggly electrical faults and fuel pump faults and stuff like that. So the other boys were battling. It's not like they didn't deserve it.
Correct.
They pushed hard, and they overcome every issue that they had.
And I got a fair bit. I was watching a fair bit of them as well too, and they were real tight as a team. They were really solid, just like you guys.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be. Yeah, you got to be.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard. It'd be very hard to try to do it by yourself. You need people. You need a group of people behind you, and that's why it's
a
great
team
to have
of mixed, matched people. Yeah.
Yep. Close knit group of friends. You need someone that knows how the electrics work. You need someone that knows how the diffs work. You need someone that knows the ins and outs
on that car specifically as well too. It was incredible to know like all these blokes to come together and just know how that car works. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's so. Dave and Glenn have been our pit crew at the last 3 or 4 Wild Dogs, and they don't fuck around. They know what's going on. They know where the tools are. They know.
Yep.
What's. I think, did you see we done their engine mounts? I think that might have been as you came in Sunday, was it?
I pretty much got most of that engine mount on the old video snappy as well too.
Yep.
Even showed how perished some of the mounts were as well too.
Yeah, definitely.
One of them almost just pretty much evaporated, like basically.
Yep.
And even got you showing cutting them in custom style as well too, and putting them together.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, cut them up, get it together, get it back together, and get out on stage, mate. Clock's ticking.
Yeah, and then put the off-road jack underneath.
Down here, IBD Warrior said her husband always says that her and him can do it together. You definitely can. That Team Tiger was, I believe, a father-daughter, were they?
Yeah.
Father-daughter. You can do it together, depending on how well you are mechanically and how well your husband is mechanically, when it comes down to just the two of you left to do it. So as I was just saying to Tom, we get to sit down and have lunch while the boys fix the car, whereas you find yourself, you and your husband are there fixing the car and trying to get back out on stage, rather than sitting and having a rest and getting something to eat. Yeah. So a good team. Good team. You definitely can. When I started, I done it by myself, and then that's how I met all these people that I now know. I've been doing it for 6 years now, I think, and made some lifelong friends out of it. Definitely.
Hell yeah. And it was just we'll go through a few more things as well too. Like we'll start on the Friday afternoon stage. You had a few qualifying and placing stages as well too. You had issues. Gearbox. Explain what was going more in depth. What the gearbox was going on, because he said something about in one
So
of the videos. It was just like bouncing.
yeah, so we put new mounts in the transfer case, and the cross member goes back on, and then we bolted the cross member up, but we just sat the transfer case on top of the cross member and didn't put the bolts in the cross member to the transfer case. So whenever we hit a bump, the transfer case was coming up and hitting the floor. But then on top of that, we relocated the cutting brake box, and it used to be nut certed to the floor, but one of them was stripped and we had to cut it out. So the best solution was to just drill a hole straight through the floor. And we put bolts in that were probably a bit too long, and they were hanging down and they were getting caught in the rear uni on the back of the transfer case. So whenever the transfer case lifted off the cross member high enough to clip this bolt, it was making a thud, 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 thud. So yeah, the sound in the car was horrendous. And the two of us, is, you don't know this until they say ready, set, go. And as soon as we made the first bang, we've just both looked at each other and gone, what the fuck is that? That doesn't sound good. So
yeah, wow. That's it would have been hilarious, like not hilarious, but it would have been a sight to be in the car to see your faces when that first bang of just looking at each other.
Yep. So then, yeah, what's supposed
in
to be
hindsight, yeah,
what's supposed to be qualifying now has turned into damage control. Just try and finish without breaking it any more than it already is. So quickly back to the pits, fix that, and then made an absolute balls up of stage 2. Ended up tipping the car on its side. Then it ran on low oil pressure, had to turn it off and winch it, recover it without the engine running.
Did we know anything from that, from the low oil pressure or anything come from that?
No, it's still going good, going strong. It may have possibly damaged a bearing. Don't know. It's the risk. It's the risk you take. Yeah.
It's taken a certain amount of life off the engine or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You just don't. You just won't know until
it gets pulled down.
Yep.
Yeah. So
you can work out from there as well too.
Yep.
Well, in that bit where you were in that gully on that, where it did go cocked up, because it was basically the wheel was wedged in on the bank and there was just no movement on the turning. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. So once you shut the car down, you obviously lose power steering.
Yeah.
And you've got it stuck in under a hole. It doesn't want to go anywhere. So that's why we pulled it on a couple of different angles to get it to come out of the hole that it was stuck in.
Yep.
Get it level and get it fired up, and then you go again.
And then moving on to, what was it, day 2, there was a fair few floating around on day 2 as well too. That was on the Saturday. That was a fair bit of winch walling on that as well too, where you got some really good runs as well
definitely.
too. This is I think where you guys came out ahead, especially those few short stages. Like we said at the start, those short stages are just where the adrenaline is.
Oh, definitely. Yep. And that's that's where you're going to make or break. If you fuck up on a short stage, like one of them stages, the finishing time was a minute. So from ready, set, go, you've got a minute to go up and back and up and back. If you stuff something up and you lose 10 seconds, that you're out of the running.
Yeah.
And that's as simple as overshooting a corner and have to put it in reverse, back up and then go again. That takes 5 seconds to do that. There you go, bam, the first place is gone.
And then this is where we don't get to see this as much. The use of, obviously, yourself, pretty much, you didn't get out of the car for that run. Were you operating the cutters as well? Or
yeah, so
was
that makes
doing that as well.
Yep, that makes the car turn sharper. Yeah, so he's just swinging off the wheel like a madman. I'm flicking lockers on and off and pulling the cut and brakes when they're needed. So obviously
You're
you don't.
flicking lockers on and off as you're going.
Yeah. So you don't
That's
want
awesome.
the lockers on until you need them,
Yep.
because having lockers on puts a heap more strain on the drivetrain.
Yeah, right.
So
Yep.
it's only when you're looking at shit that you go, right, lockers on, and
Yep.
it may just be the rear, it may just be the front, depending on what you're looking at. And then as soon
Yep.
as you clear that obstacle, flick them off, because then that
Yep.
way it stops.
Can you hear or feel in any way when those lockers disengage, or is it just you've just got to trust the car that does it?
As soon as you flick them off, they disengage.
That's yeah.
Yep.
Because you're running.
They may stay on while you've still got power down,
Yep.
but as soon as a wheel spins or it goes over a boulder or it gets airborne a little bit and the power is taken away,
managed to spin. Yep.
It slips apart. And that's how I was saying we noticed on Friday that the locker wasn't disengaging.
Yep.
Because we could tell you don't want it on, and you go around the corner and you can feel, the rear locker is on.
Still.
It's not.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. And you flick the switch 2 or 3 times. You disconnect air lines, and sometimes oil comes back up the air lines. Blow the oil out the lines, and do all the usual quick fix things. None of them worked. So pull the center out, put a new one in.
And it starts binding up as well too, because everything's starting to get sloppy down there. And
Yep.
Yeah, no, that there were a few stages that, like those short stages, were just absolutely incredible. Now, the one we didn't get to see was the big long one.
Yes, what they call the super loop.
The super loop, like aside from the breakage right at the end, how did that go through? What's the thought process that goes through when you do long runs like that?
The super loop is a totally different approach. Because these short stages, if you get a flat tyre on one of those short stages, you just limp it to the finish. Because the time, like I said, you've got 1 minute, 2, 3 to finish the stage. The time that it takes for you to change a flat tyre is going to ruin any chance you had of finishing well. So you just finish on a flat tyre. Whereas these super loops, if you get a flat tyre in the first half of it, to be out, you probably going to be near on impossible to drive the rest of the stage with a flat tyre, because you need to be so precise at where you put your wheels, or else you end up in shit. That you have to stop. You got to jack the car up. You got to change the tyre. Like, you think of some people, if they got a flat tyre in perfect conditions on a bitumen road, and all their stuff was accessible, it would take them 45 minutes to change a tyre. Whereas we have 45 minutes from start to finish to do the stage, and we change a tyre in the middle and still finish in time. And you're changing a tyre on an uneven ground, the jack's sinking in the mud, and it seems when it goes wrong, it just snowballs and more and more and more goes wrong.
Yep. And I get that. And I'm sorry to do this to you, Andy. I've got duty calls coming, so we're going to have to leave it at that.
No, all good, man. No, it's been good having a chat. And so we've just done this because Marley was occupied. Yep.
Well,
Marley was busy.
Like, audio way better on this than it does on the old Zooms. So
yeah, nice. That's what we want.
Just the way it works. So we'll keep playing around with a better method as well too. And yeah, we'll go from there. This will be a nice little short one. You can hit us up on the Offroad OnAIR podcast and all of our other socials.
Happy days. We'll get together again shortly when Marley's ready to play, mate.
Thanks, mate.
See you later, boy.
Peace.